I gotta know, who voted for this top 25?
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, don't forget the show is free, and never forget how much I appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. To make every moment more, new customers join today, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. So, as you can see in the rundown, USC was left out of a top 25 poll on 3. Way too early, preseason top 25. I read it, and I did a giggle smirk when it was all done. You know, one of those type of things? Yeah, that was me. Let me read off this top 25 list. Tell me who's on there, who isn't, obviously, and where we need to fix this thing. So, number 1 through 25. Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, number 5. Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, Missouri, number 10. LSU, Utah, Oklahoma, Kansas State, Tennessee, 15. Florida State, Clemson, Miami, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Louisville, North Carolina State, Texas A&M at 23, Arizona 24, SMU 25. Yep, no USC. I don't know. Maybe Lincoln Riley's Trojans hovering somewhere in the receiving votes department, right? I guess this is what happens when you finish your season 8-5 after you go 11-3 the year before. Look, Lincoln Riley went from hot commodity to hot seat in 1 year. And it's not really the hot seat, but because he kept Alex Grinch around 1 year too long, this is the result. Back to the top 25. I'm actually cool with numbers 1 and 2 on that list. They return a lot of players, and they also added a lot. In fact, Ohio State, they went all in. They're shooting their NIL load big time through the transfer portal. And I think it's because they have Michigan Wolverines derangement syndrome. Look, Jim Harbaugh, before he skipped town, he beat Ohio State 3 years in a row. And then on his way out of town, he said, I'm going to take this national championship trophy with me as well. So Ohio State said, you know what? We're going to go get more players, and we're going to go grab a head coach from UCLA and make him our offensive coordinator. So Chip Kelly, I don't think he's ever had this much talent to play with. And if Will Howard can be the answer at quarterback, they're going to be good. Is Dylan Gabriel, though, the answer in Eugene? And if he goes down, is Dante Moore the guy? I just think number 3 for this Oregon team is a little bit too high. Texas, look, they lost way too much on both sides of the ball. And I'm just not sure if Quinn Ewers, the quarterback, is that guy. He's got some talent. He's good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know. Maybe he will. I just don't know if he's the type of quarterback you can put the rest of the team on his shoulders and he's going to carry you. And look, again, injuries happen. Is Archie Manning going to be the guy? He's nothing like Grandpa. He's definitely nothing like Peyton and Eli. And then you got Alabama at number 5. Interesting. No more Nick Saban, and you had some transfer portal attrition. And right now, while I'm recording the show, they don't even have an offensive coordinator. I get the whole benefit of the doubt thing. And if Kalen DeBoer can do it at Washington, then he could probably do it in Tuscaloosa. But again, I think this one might be a little bit too high for the time being. Ole Miss, number 6. I'm a huge Jackson Dart fan, but he's too risky. And Kiffin and Ole Miss, look, they went on, like Ohio State, they went on a spending spree as well this offseason. hit the transfer portal hard, spent an arm and a leg to go get Walter Nolan, the big defensive tackle from Texas A&M. We'll see. We'll see if defense is going to be the answer for Kiffin in 2024. Notre Dame is too high at number 7. I'm sorry. I'm okay that they're there. Don't get me wrong, because the higher they are when USC and Notre Dame play, that obviously benefits USC. So we'll see if Riley Leonard is the answer at quarterback. He's transferring from Duke. You also have the big wide receiver, Bo Collins from Clemson via St. John Bosco. I don't know. Is he going to be the 5-star prospect that everyone anticipated he would be? The author of this top 25 poll from On3 is Jesse Simonton. He has Michigan at number 8. And then he supports his position this way. Tell me, I don't know, maybe it was just me. Michigan, number 8. The 2023 national champs have seen a ton of turnover since winning the title, losing Jim Harbaugh and nearly half of the rest of their staff to the NFL, plus more than 10 NFL departures, including quarterback J.J. McCarthy. New head coach Sharon Moore was promoted to head coach, and he recently made an audacious hire in Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator that he brought in from the NFL. The Wolverines have survived a mass exodus of transfers, but it's still a roster that ranks 128th nationally in returning production. And quarterback remains a major question mark entering the spring. So again, is it just me, or is that not the strongest support to say, hey, this is your number 8 team in the country? No one asked me. So are you okay with Penn State at number 9? I don't know, maybe Drew Aller, their quarterback, is going to be better in 2024. Their defense is usually pretty good, but they've got 2 new coordinators. Tom Allen is going to be their new defensive coordinator. And then Missouri is rounding up the top 10. I got it. Look, they won 11. They won 11 games last year. That's not going to be the norm, and not in the SEC. So let me understand this. USC punched Louisville in the mouth in the Holiday Bowl, and they also, I think most people would agree, USC returns a better roster and a better coaching staff than Louisville. But somehow the Cardinals are worthy of a preseason number 21 ranking, and USC, I have to assume, is in the somewhere receiving votes category. Makes sense, right? No. What about Kansas State at 14? Way too high. And Will Howard didn't want to be there any longer. I don't know, maybe they didn't want him. Regardless, I think 14 is way too high for Kansas State. Tennessee is getting a lot of street cred for beating Iowa in their bowl game. I know Nico Iamaleava can use his legs. Still not sold on his throwing, though. What about Clemson at number 17? Did they find a quarterback all of a sudden? Here's the one I have a real problem with. Miami, number 18. And again, USC can't get ranked. This is why these lists are meant for entertainment purposes only. In what world should Mario Cristobal's team be top 20? Don't tell me Cam Ward pushed them into the top 20. Mario has not met a quarterback that he has not ruined a quarterback's career yet. The last time I checked, Arizona just got their program, roto-rooted. Their coaching staff gone. They were able to hold on to Noah Fafita and Tatara McMillan, T-Mac. And yes, they won 10 games last year. They also lost to USC. So again, I don't know. Is Noah and T-Mac, are they going to keep that program as a top 25 team? I don't know. I think they're getting a little bit of shine from last year, obviously. In my opinion, look, those 11 through 25 teams, just a hodgepodge. Not much thought was put into it. LSU, they lost 3 games in 2023. Jaden Daniels is not coming back. They weren't that great on defense. Am I upset? No. Let me be clear. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. But some of these rankings are off. That's why I had to bring it up. It's like, we got to talk about this. And let's just say, for argument's sake, that USC is 3-1 or 4-0 at the end of September. Now, where are you going to rank them? Remember, you're starting them outside. When the season started, you're starting them outside the top 25. If USC beats LSU, is LSU going to fall? Are you going to discredit that win all of a sudden? Michigan in Ann Arbor, the Wolverines better be 2-1 at the worst, 3-0. They play Texas in week 2 up there in Ann Arbor. So let's say Michigan is 3-0 when USC arrives. USC is 2-0. They got wins over LSU and Utah State. Now what? Where should USC be ranked when they're going to that big matchup against the defending national champions? Let me know. Hit me up in the comments section. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players with teams with quick bets. They've got live same-game parlays that you can jump into. They've got exclusive prop bets, and they got a whole bunch more than just that. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. The other day on Locked On USC, I brought up the top 10 California recruits from the 2024 recruiting class. Well, here is the first release of the top 10 recruits from California for 2025. Do you agree? Pardon me. Here's the list in order of rankings. We're going to go 1 through 10. Number 1 and 2. First player, number 1 on the list is Deshaun Lee. Number 2 is Nazir Wyatt. So Deshaun Lee, he's the number 1 player, plays cornerback from Mission Viejo, 6'3", 180 pounds. You got to imagine he's one of the bigger cornerbacks in recent times. It's off the top of my head. USC's really high on this guy. And I think he's pretty high on USC as well. USC is going to be going up against, Ohio State or Georgia. All the top programs are going to be coming after Deshaun Lee. I mentioned the number 2 player from the state of California. He's a rush edge, Nazir Wyatt, Mater Dei High School, 6'2", 205 pounds. Kind of on the smaller side, uber quick though. He's got a really quick first step. And he's considered one of the top edge players in the country. I see him playing linebacker in college. Again, that size. He could probably add some more weight, but again, I don't see him as a defensive lineman. At least not in Anton-Lynn's scheme. He likes guys who are versatile enough where you don't have to substitute. So I don't know if you could put him at the end, but also keep him in there on rundowns as well. We'll see. Number 3, linebacker Noah McHale, Bonita High School, 6'2", 210 pounds. I'm going to mention this other name as well right now, Madden Faramo. Both Noah and Madden are the top linebackers in the state. They need to get Noah. Well, they need to get both of them. They need to get Noah. He's the higher ranked of those two. Dude's a thumper. And if you get Noah, others, this is why I'm saying you get him, others are going to want to follow. Not just in state, but from out of state as well. Now, so there's your first 3 players. What did you notice? They play on the defensive side of the ball. Your first offensive player. It's not a quarterback, not a wide receiver, it's not a running back, not an offensive lineman. It's a tight end. Yeah, AJ Aya. IA is how you spell his last name. Orange Lutheran High School, 6'6", 220 pounds. He has all of the top offers. I mean, all of them. USC, Texas, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Florida, Penn State, Auburn, Utah, Ole Miss, A&M, Nebraska. Like I said, all of them. I'm not sure where USC is with all of this. They've been bringing in tight ends like they're going out of style. Every class you've got at least one or two. So we'll see. But again, I found that interesting that the first player on offense in the state of California considered top 10, tight end. The next players are running back, Jordan Davison, Mater Dei High School, 5'11", 210 pounds. I'm not sure where Jordan is on USC's hot board with Coach Kyle McDonald and Lincoln Riley, but I do know that Carson Cox is pretty high. You'll understand why here in a second, why I brought that name up. Number 6, a quarterback, Achilles Smith. So all of a sudden now you got 3 offensive players. 6'5", 200 pounds. Again, quarterback in San Diego. He's going to Oregon, just like his dad. He's already committed. I bring up his name because he's one of the top 10 players in the state of California. 4th play in a row. Offense, wide receiver, Marcus Harris, Mater Dei High School, 5'11", 180 pounds. Doesn't have an offer from USC at this point. So it's interesting that goes to Mater Dei, one of the top 10 players in the state, plays wide receiver. USC is his dream school, doesn't have an offer, at least not yet. That could be remedied. Number 8, running back, Carson Cox, Oak Hills High School, 6 foot even, 190 pounds. This is the guy that it looks and appears like Coach Kyle and Coach Riley want first off their board at running back. I think they like the way he plays physically. Not knocking Jordan, just kind of putting it out there, just letting you know where things stand at the moment. Remember, I talked about this on a previous episode of Locked On USC, how Lincoln Riley is recruiting by airplane. Yeah. He showed up on the private jet out there in the high desert. You want to check out Carson Cox, give that personal appearance on his way back to California when he was recruiting all over the country. Number 9, I mentioned him just a minute ago, linebacker, Madden Farimo, J. Sarah High School, Orange County, San Diego, 6'3", 200 pounds. He's got offers from all of them, all over the country. USC, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Utah, Miami, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Penn State, UCLA. Yeah. USC must keep these 2 linebackers in-house in California at USC. Noah McHale and Madden. Again, you get those guys, you have the attention of the rest of the country. And then the number 10 player in the state of California, according to On3, cornerback, Adonis Curry, Quartz Hill High School, 6'3", 174 pounds. Again, no offer from USC yet. But like Deshaun Lee, where are these tall cornerbacks been coming from all of a sudden? It's like they're growing on trees in California. Anyways, at least in this cycle they are. So this list is going to change a few times between now and the first signing day in December. But here's what I found interesting. That California, at least in this first top 10 list, and I think they did it on purpose, perfectly balanced. 5 players on offense, 5 players on defense. What did you notice? Because this is what I noticed. Of the top 10 players, the initial rankings from the state of California, not one offensive lineman or one defensive lineman cracked the top 10. So here's what USC needs to do. Just keep getting these guys on campus as often and as frequently as possible, and then get them committed, right? And that way others are going to want to join the fray. So give me your feedback. What did you think? That's the top 10 players from the state of California for the 2025 recruiting cycle, your first release, according to On3. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who else? Who would you have kicked out, and who would you have put in there? Well, let me know. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the right parts you need at the right prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, before we talk about this week's favorite recruit of the week from the class of 2024, I want to touch on this real quickly. If you haven't heard by now, probably been under a rock or sleeping off your hangover from Super Bowl Sunday. Does anybody think that Deshaun Foster is going to work out as UCLA's head coach? Yep, he was named a man. Great running back from Tustin High School back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Really, really good running back at UCLA, despite, always holding someone else's stuff, car, weed. I'm kidding. Had to throw that in there. A little Bruin dig. Deshaun had his last year at UCLA, he had a couple of off-the-field incidents. Nothing that you would even think twice about today. Anyways, today he is their head coach. And he's kind of in a tough spot. Chip Kelly, he literally gave UCLA the one-finger salute with both hands when he took the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. Yeah, he did not want to be UCLA's head coach anymore. He doesn't like recruiting. He doesn't like being a college coach, period. But I think he found a comfort level, at least for this next year. So Deshaun Foster, he is a Bruin. And UCLA needed somebody who wanted to be a Bruin, who is a Bruin. Because, again, they didn't have any time to really do a legitimate search of candidates. And it was because of the timing. Chip Kelly got the last word in. He knew they didn't want him last year, at the end of last year. So he said, all right, that's how you feel? I'm out of here. Deshaun Foster is going to be head coach. And look, he's never even been a coordinator. I don't believe at any level. So now he's going to go from the Las Vegas Raiders running back coach to UCLA's head coach. Good luck, Deshaun. Chip and UCLA, they're doing you no favors. See you at the end of the year. That USC UCLA game will be at the Rose Bowl. So let's get back to USC. My favorite recruit of the week from the class of 24 this week, he doesn't get mentioned frequently, but safety, Braylon Connolly Jr. He's one of the first to commit in the class. Last week, I told you about Joey Olson. He committed in July of 2022, never looked back. Braylon Connolly Jr. was one of the first guys to jump on the board as well. Like right after Hayden Trader, a couple hours. Trader was the mammoth offensive lineman. We talked about him last week as well. He was one of my favorites. Jarvis Boatwright announced his commitment immediately. I don't know, I'm not even sure he was home yet, but after his official visit to USC, he committed. And now, again, that was back on June, and that was right after Hayden Trader did his. In June, USC had 2 official visit weekends. That was the first one. And if you remember, when USC finished those official visit weekends in June, they had pushed their class ranking up to number 4 nationally. And then the Grinch stole all that momentum when the season came around. Anyways, I digress. Braylon Connolly Jr., 6'2", 175 pounds. He's from Clearwater, Florida. He picked the Trojans over Florida, Florida State, South Carolina, Tennessee, among others. And here's what I really love about this young man. I think you will too. Once he made his commitment, he shut it down. He canceled his other official visits. He literally contacted those other programs and said, you know what? I made it. I made my decision. Don't waste any, your money, your time, your resources. I like that. That's a sign of maturity. That he was literally willing to tell the other schools, I'm done. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. I love that type of stuff. Good maturity. I saw an interview he did when he was in high school. And it looks like this is just who he is. Once he makes a commitment, like, I want to go to that school, he shuts it down. He always wanted to go to the high school he ended up at. He said, I always wanted to be a Tornado. Well, he made the football team. So again, he doesn't waver. Once he makes a decision, he locks it up. He's done. I mentioned that, excuse me, he committed after he took his official visit to USC. Well, he wanted to come back and take another one. He literally said, can I take another visit? USC was his last offer as well. That's how big of an impression USC made on the young man. I watched this film. He likes to hit. You should go watch this film. He's got a nose for the football too, both in the run game as well as in the passing game. I mentioned his size. If I'm forecasting him to play at USC, I'm thinking strong safety, nickel spot. He's a guy who, again, you want to have him in the box just because of the way he plays. Very physical, likes to stick his nose in there, loves contact. Also, something I picked up from him, he doesn't like to settle. He said he didn't want to play JV football. So you know what he did when he was in 8th grade? He kept practicing against the varsity guys. He would show up to their workouts during the summer. And he was going up against, the juniors and the seniors. So you got to love that no fear attitude that he has. He also talked about culture. He said, and this is what really, I think I really gravitated to this. As a former high school basketball coach, you love hearing these types of things. He talked about wanting to be a role model and just showing good leadership traits so he can pass that on to other players in the locker room as well. When you hear young men, 15, 16, 17, talking like that, good head on their shoulders, very focused. He talked about, how his family told him to stay humble. And again, that's another really good characteristic. And being able to stay humble when things are going well, that's challenging. That's hard, especially when you're young. Oh, like I said, head is screwed on straight, focused. He knows what he wants, knows where he's going. He's a great student in the classroom. 4.0 student, and he's taking AP courses. That's going to get it done. This is a culture guy. This is a good guy that you want in your locker room. He's also a really good football player. This is the type of player that Lincoln Riley's out there scouring the country for. And now he's got a really good defensive staff that's going to be able to coach him up. So, this week's favorite recruit of the week from class of 2024, Braylon Connolly Jr., Clearwater, Florida. And not only does he have the physical tools to perform on the field, he's got the mental tools to perform in the classroom. And I love the things that he talks about as far as wanting to be a role model, display good leadership qualities. That's the type of player you want at USC. So there you go. I'll be back with another episode of Locked on USC tomorrow. We do here around here 5 times a week. We'll talk more about recruiting. It's that time of the year. And I'll figure out something else as well. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.